On this episode of Mighty Car Mods, the RX7 is getting dynoed again.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. In case you missed what happened last time the RX7 was on the dyno, kablamo!
Kaboom.
But since my very clever friend here has fixed it.
With a little bit of help, new gearbox in, new tail shaft in, new old tail shaft is in. So I've got another date with the dyno today. I'm feeling a little bit nervy about it for a few reasons. One, for the last 3 hours, I've been trying to get this thing to start.
That's just
Which
old,
has been
old car stuff,
absolutely
man.
So annoying. It flooded, and then I tried to flood clear it, and then the throttle linkage slipped, and then it revved the red line. So anyway,
Hey Martin,
it works now.
Is that not the whole reason why we did this?
That's why we get old cars, because old cars, you got to constantly fiddle with them, and it's so fun, especially when you got to be at a dyno and you got a booking.
It's not actually going to start, is it?
Look, it's not as cold as it was. Come on, RX7, come on. It idles high, but it works. Doesn't matter, I'm not going to be idling.
Good luck.
Yeah! I'm finally on the road. It was a very, very long morning getting this thing started. I actually got up extra early because I had a feeling it would bite me being a 40-year-old car. And sure enough, it did, because it wouldn't start. The cold start tune's still very much in a draft form, because when you take a car to the dyno, you only really get one shot at that cold start because it was towed there, and then you're into tuning it. So what happened was I tried to start it. It wouldn't, it flooded. The Haltech has a flood clear mode where you bury the throttle and then you can start it and it basically clears that flooding. But what happened was, as I pressed the accelerator, the cam on the actual injection manifold and the throttle body slipped. And that meant that when I then released the accelerator, it wasn't going back to idle, it was going back to about 50% throttle. Then when I finally cleared the flood, took the spark plugs out, cleaned them up, put it all back together and tried to start it, it would rev up to about 7 grand. Because the throttle was stuck open. I didn't realise that till I pulled the actual air filter off and had a look. So I reset all that, realigned it. Now my idle is a little bit high. It's sitting at about 2,000 RPM, so it makes the driving a little bit harder. Decell's not right. It's just a bit more painful. And it is another reminder that this is a 40-year-old car. And jumping out of a brand new Yaris or even a 20-year-old Subaru, the difference is just massive. These things definitely have something going on. Like, it's a cool car and it's nice to drive, but it's not modern by any stretch of the imagination, even though we are slowly modernising it. So, gonna make my way down to Haltech now. Hopefully I make it, and we'll put this thing on the dyno, spin up some power reliably, and then I'll be able to drive it.
I'll be honest, I have been struggling with this car. Everything is just that little bit different and sensitive to change, and there's still lots of stuff that's broken. Rotaries might look the same driving down the road, but they are a whole different animal when you own them. Their popularity tells me that there has to be something that keeps people coming back for more, and not just selling them and buying a Hyundai people mover. By slowly clawing back some of the reliability with this EFI swap, I'm hoping that by the end of this dyno session, I'll finally be able to give the car a proper thrashing. Like revving it out down some highway on-ramps, something that's eluded me so far in the time that I've owned this 40-year-old Survivor.
So now I'm just zeroing everything, and then I'm going to use the idle screw just to bring the idle slowly back up to a more reasonable thing. I could have done this before I left, but I really want to get here, and I knew that I could drive it with a high idle, but it's not great to live with, so I'm going to fix it now and see how it goes. That's a good sign because it won't idle at all, so now I can slowly bring the idle up while looking at the butterflies to see where it wants to sit, to idle happily. It's a little bit high. Alright, so that is that. About 1500, so a tiny bit lower and we're good, I think. That's it, that's where it's going to be. Much nicer. Perfect, 1100. I think stock they idle between 900 and 1100, so I'll keep it there just for ease.
Luckily for me, Scott from Haltech has experience with rotaries and was keen to get on the dyno.
Scotty, we're back again.
Welcome home, mate.
Again, like I had a few dramas this morning, I'm not going to lie, it was very stressful, but I got here, I drove here thanks to your tune from last time.
Man, I'm glad that I'm glad that you got here, but what happened?
Stuck throttle, basically. Wouldn't cold start, but that's fair enough. It hadn't. It only as I said before, it only gets cold started once when it first gets you the first time.
Yeah.
And you kind of need a few goes. Is that how cold start normally works?
Yeah, so because we haven't finished the tune-up, I haven't done, like, we got probably, an hour in, give or take.
Yeah.
So we haven't done all of that stuff. I haven't set up any of the learning yet for all of the cold start stuff.
Yeah. Oh, so every time you start it should get better.
Should get a little bit better each time. But yeah, at the moment, I think we just need to get to the end of a dyno session.
This was hardware issues, not software issues. But driving here was actually great. Like, it drives like an old car, but it got here, and I probably only used 20 litres of fuel. But I've got an 80 litre fuel tank, so don't worry about it. We'll be fine. We've got 60 litres. It'll last about 80 minutes.
Well, things have changed a little bit now, I suppose, where we're going to focus on fuel economy.
I filled that tank before the prices went nuts. So we're on discount fuel.
All right. Well, we'll focus on fuel economy.
A quick tune's a good tune today.
Focus on power. We'll get the yeah. It's costing you buckets, isn't it, as we're pouring it out the exhaust.
Yep.
Mate, we'll get it. First thing we'll do is spin it up and make sure that it doesn't vibrate or do anything weird, because obviously you've had everything apart.
Of course.
We'll run it up. We'll get it back to where we were. We'll do some power runs, then we'll do all the cruise stuff and do all the starting bits.
If this blows up on the dyno again,
Yep. Wait, hang on.
Will you give me 50 bucks or I'll give you 50 bucks?
That insinuates that my part blew up. My part didn't. My part's sweet.
If it blows up, blew up. I'm buying lunch and I'll clean the dyno, because last time you did most of the cleaning. That was not fair.
Yeah, so I've got a secret about that. I didn't actually end up cleaning it either.
Who did? It's still there.
It's still there.
All right, let's go on dyno on top of our old gear fluid.
Nice.
This is it. I'm either going to be ripping it home down the highway or cleaning the dyno.
No point in tinkering and doing all the different stuff. We may as well run it. Basically, I'll do a quick health test.
Yeah.
Get straight back into it where we were, because there's no point in doing all the download stuff.
If it's going to blow up, it's going to blow up.
Spot on.
Not going to blow up today, though. Still does the rotary things.
I love that noise.
Did you know that the leading and the trailing spark plugs are different?
Different heat ranges?
Yeah.
Yep.
I worked that out the hard way.
Putting random ones in random
places?
places?
No, I just, after I pulled them out, I looked and I went, oh, that's different. I didn't know. Now I do. That's how you learn, right? It's making rotary noises.
Yeah, it sounds, I love it.
Idle's okay, doesn't it?
Yeah, idle's good. So we've got an idle of, say, 1100 RPM, give or take.
It won't actually physically go lower with that setup. That's as low as it'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. And factory, they're between, I think, 950 and 1100, so.
Okay.
Some will go lower, but this is okay.
All right.
It's time, people. We're doing it. I hope the tail shaft doesn't blow up this time.
Start data logging.
Full throttle, go. Didn't blow up.
Didn't blow up.
Didn't blow up. 80 kilowatts, about the same ballpark as last time.
We'll go again. Same log.
Excellent. We're through the first hump now, so I feel a bit better about it.
Yeah. Mate, if something was going to happen...
That's max load, isn't it?
Two in a row, max load, nice and hot.
Yep. 85.6 kilowatts.
Which I think is bloody close to where we were.
That's about right. Yeah, it must have broken at peak torque last time, right?
Yeah, what we can probably do, analyze, save that, go to there. Last time, it stopped there,
right.
68.27, and just then we zinged it all the way out to about 8,000, somewhere around there.
Yeah, cool. 8 is like hard red line on that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Just keeps spinning, doesn't it?
Man, if you want to be nice to a rotary though, just rev it.
Really?
Yeah. Don't putt this thing around at 2 and 3 grand like a piston engine.
Yeah.
If you're like cruising at 3 and 4,000 is a nicer thing to be doing to it.
Sure. It does feel good at that rev range.
So that's our RPM trace, perfectly diagonal, telling me that there's nothing funny going on with the clutch.
Yep.
So if the clutch was slipping we'd see a funny round shape in here.
Yep.
Because the dyno is letting out a certain amount of meters per second, no matter what. So that has to be a diagonal line. RPM, we bring up my throttle position, just so I can show you what I did. So I 15% throttle,
Yep.
then loaded into it, 100% throttle, still at 1600 RPM, and then I hit the button on the dyno there and let it accelerate up, and held 100% throttle till the very top,
Yep.
which was 7850,
Nice.
and then that line coming down is me rolling off the throttle.
Yep.
So then we'll double click on this one and go for oil pressure.
It's happy.
Stays good.
Excellent.
So we'll drag that across.
What we want to see.
We'll come up and see coolant and have a look if the coolant temperature changed at all during that pull. Started at 84, finished at 85.
Great.
We'll have a look at...
I'm pretty happy with that idle too.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds lovely. Air fuel ratio, we'll have a look at this. So that's the air fuel ratio. This is my target. And we're looking pretty good. We're right over the top. So what I want and what I'm getting is really nice.
Nice.
Then we have a look at our short-term fuel trim. There you go, the fan's just kicked on then to see what's going on.
Yep.
So this is how much the ECU is doing in order to achieve my target.
Right. Is that a lot or a little?
It's not terrible. It's remembering that we've got staged injection in this as well.
Yes.
So we've got 2 primaries, then 2 secondaries.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of magic there in making the thing stage really nicely, but it
Sure.
looks like it's doing really well.
Yep. Feels good.
Of this, all I'll be doing is going at full throttle from, say, 3000 RPM onwards. The ECU is pulling, say, somewhere between about 3 and 8%.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm going to do is go full throttle from 2 grand onwards. Show you here, full throttle from about 2 grand onwards, just there. Look at where the shapes are,
Yep.
about there somewhere, and all I'm going to do is go through that little bit area, P minus 3%.
Cool.
Similar rules to the piston engine. We're going to just put a bit of time in it, see if it likes it, and see if we pick up any power. If we do, awesome. If
Yep.
we don't, well, we know
Unreal.
there's no gain.
Run number 2. Let's do it.
And we're trying to listen for a bit of a flutter, a bit of a funny noise.
Yeah.
So
A small bump at the top.
tiny
But
bit of an
worth
improvement.
it for 2 kilowatts?
Not worth it.
No, because you...
No. So, analyze, and we're going to look at the torque,
Yep.
because power is torque times RPM.
Yep.
If we look at the torque, it gives us a bit of a better idea of what's actually going on. By doing that, it picked up roughly 500 or 600 metres at the top end.
So, not enough to make a difference in this case.
Not even going to talk about it. So,
Talk about it.
I'll zero out my trim.
So based on what you saw on that last run, tweaking the ignition map, so taking the 2 degrees back out that you added to the
Yep.
whole map,
Yep.
and then just tweaking it where you think it might actually use it
Spot on.
constructively,
Yep, spot
without
on.
just putting 2 degrees everywhere.
Yeah. The next thing we're going to do, this is the second scary part, split angle. So we're going to lower the split angle. So we're actually now, so the bigger this number is, so the further you fire this trailing from the leading, the safer things are.
Oh,
If
okay.
you fire them close together,
Yeah.
think of that like, it's basically, we're advancing the trailing spark,
Yep.
which brings us more horsepower, possibly,
Okay.
but also more cylinder pressures, resulting in more potential for failure.
Great. Engine failure. Gonna need therapy after this.
Got to know what you're up for, man.
Mate, rotaries, just...
You're the one that said put all that
I've
timing in it.
brought some
You
ridiculous
said-
stuff to you. No, I did not say
You
that.
said just start narrowing that up.
Oh my God. I didn't even know what that was until 2
Hang on,
minutes
I
ago.
can't hear you. Hang on.
I can't hear the car. Doesn't love it.
Pulled out early. Doesn't like it.
Not you would expect to see a difference straight away.
I wanted to see a change. I
Okay.
saw absolutely nothing, so there's no need. I don't want to rev the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other way now.
Okay.
I'm going to widen the split up,
See if it makes any difference at all.
hopefully to build in. Yeah.
Okay.
Same logger, still going. Full throttle, go.
Lost a tiny bit?
Lost a tiny little bit. We'll have
So
a look.
you actually got it pretty spot on before?
Yeah, which is not magic. It's a pretty reasonably known thing. So let me knock off those two. You can see that I pulled out of it, but
Yeah,
you
down
get the
on top.
idea there that we went from 196 to 201 newton meters.
Got it.
So this engine, this 12A, wants about 10 degrees of trailing split under full load.
Cool.
That feels pretty good to me, and I'm kind of happy with where we are.
Yeah. So now what do you do? Because we pretty much know what power it's going to make in terms of peak power and torque.
We come back to our fueling and we see what our long terms are doing.
Which is not a great deal of change, is it?
Nah, nothing crazy.
It's funny, it's the same, similar amount of work for 85 kilowatts as if we had supergramps in here for 400. I know it's NA, so you only got to go up to zero, but in terms of like all this expertise and all this learning and all the like setup and all that kind of stuff, it's like the end result can be so much lower with basically the same amount of output from your brain.
Yeah, you need to know. Yeah, it's definitely the same recipe. Turbo and aspirated, similar. It's simply more load sites, more that you've got to tune. Piston and rotary is a little bit confusing and a little bit different.
Yeah.
On a rotary engine, we try not to chase the power with the ignition timing because that's terrifying.
Okay.
You typically change the power with boost pressure.
Oh, okay, cool.
If it doesn't make it with the ignition values that you're kind of expecting, we've got mechanical problems or we've got sizing problems.
Right.
Whereas on supergramps, for example, we give it ignition timing until it doesn't want any more ignition timing.
Till it cracks a ringland.
And then we just put it in the
Then
bin
we go home.
LS. But yeah, you get the idea that obviously we have tuning tools there. So we've got knock detection stuff, and we've got like audible things.
All
we've
your
got safeties. But yeah, just a different way of doing it. One of the things on this that's interesting that I'm not going to do that we normally do to get a bit of fuel economy is to turn on diesel cut. So on deceleration, we turn the injectors off altogether.
On rotaries?
On a rotary, we're not going to do it because we want that for a bit of lubrication. You're pulling oil through anyway. And if you ever go to a premix setup, we really want that lubrication all the time.
Cool.
So I'd rather you
So it has some fuel on diesel, is that how it works?
Yep, it's lean. It's not ridiculous. It's super lean on diesel, but it does inject fuel compared to zero on most of on all of the piston cars.
No worries. We're done.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I think after this we'll go for a little bit of a drive and just make sure that it feels nice in between the gears and the throttle pumps and everything feel nice. But man, you can chill out a bit.
Yes.
We made it.
Can chill out finally.
And you know what also is amazing?
What?
It's 12:20.
Oh, it's lunchtime. Stop it.
It sounds so cool.
It sounds alright, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially now the idle's so stable.
Yeah.
Just get to enjoy it now, you know?
Alright. Wow, look at that thing.
Nice Yaris.
That is a good looking car.
Not bad, eh? For a little nugget.
Yeah. How's the left, sweet? Did you say fine, dear? No, it's not a thing.
Gotta do a little blip in between gears is mandatory, isn't it?
It's just to show that I know how to drive a manual. You're like,
oh yeah.
See that though? So like fourth gear, 50 k's an hour.
Yeah.
Gotta
be in third.
Third gear.
Let it rev. Okay, cool.
Let it rip. Possibly even second gear, to be fair.
Yeah. But it does have a surprising amount of torque down there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fine. Oh.
Well, I lie. It's not that fast at all. But it gets you there.
No, we're just putting. We're just cruising.
It gets you there.
And you know what's cool? Like this car now, it's so retro and it's so cool that like straight away you can see people looking at you that like, and it's not a showing off thing. It's a like a taste thing, you know.
Dude, it's a survivor thing now. This is old enough. 40 plus years is like surviving. It's hard to keep a car going for that long.
I don't know where that border crosses, but like I see someone driving this and you're like, man, you got stamina and you got style to be in that. But like someone cruising like a VN Commodore, same thing, different thing.
Yeah.
You got stamina. I don't know if you got style.
Well, this is VL year though, isn't it? More so.
Yeah.
Or even earlier, because this is 82.
Yeah.
I don't know Commodores well enough, but that's an early one.
VB?
Yeah. So if you've seen one of them, that's historic.
That's gangster. Like if you see a nice VB, you know that red interior?
Oh God, a Commodore being gangster, I never thought I'd hear it.
Beautiful thing, and you can definitely feel that we're in an old car, only that the steering wheel and the wheels are only kind of sort of related.
Yeah. Yes.
And
It's vague, isn't it?
the back of the car is almost like that's a different car to the front of the car as well. Like we are definitely moving around in funny fields.
Yeah,
you know?
man. And it's got high sidewall 13-inch tyres on it.
It's
Stock suspension. Stock sway bars. Old bushes.
just funny that what you take for granted now, where you buy a 5 or 10
Hyundai i20.
Yeah, and you would argue that that could be the most polished chassis handling combination ever.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Compared to this performance car.
And then people, when I left school, people were like lusting after these things. They were already nearly 20 years old, and people were like, wow, it's the best thing ever. RX7s are so sick.
Yeah.
And I guess 85 kilowatts wasn't nothing.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's not nothing.
But the revs are big, man.
Yeah.
Like when you can zing the thing to $8,000.
True.
And of all of it, obviously RX7, probably not even a controversial thing to say, I wouldn't think, but Series 6, Series 7, Series 8 is the best, the most beautiful car ever made.
$135,000.
That's a lot.
That's what they're going for now. I saw one for a nice one that I would have paid $35 for 5 years ago for $135.
And you know
so
what?
it's just out of reach now for most people.
There's some models that I don't understand the cost of them. For that, not even upset. You're just like, you know what? To park that in your driveway and look like that, you're like, yeah, man, that makes sense.
So you guys had one in 2015, and I remember because when you had Supergrams doing your development with the Elite, that was the loan car you guys gave me.
The white one.
Yeah, and then it was a bit of a nugget, probably worth like 20K.
Yeah, whatever, we just need to get this done. Now, I think a red one, low on big wheels, is just...
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it's funny as well, because I don't really like red cars, but an RX-7 is a red car.
It suits them, yeah. I agree.
Well, what do? Do we blast in here and show you what
we're done.
Show you what a chip meat box thing is?
Let's do it. Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Is that why I turn up to work all the time?
Oh, dude. That is worth tuning a Rotary for.
Extraordinary.
Scotty, thank you so much. I'm so happy that it didn't blow up. I was feeling a little bit worried.
Mate, pleasure. And it's driving really nice. The gearbox, the driveline and everything, there's as much wobble as you should be getting in an old car.
Yeah.
Man, I'm excited that it's coming off the dyno, because I'm kind of keen to take it for a drive around the block, because
Absolutely.
It's one of those cars that now, pretty rare to get the chance to drive a stock-ish one.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome.
Yep, that's not off its head and had 20 years of development, because this has not, it's basically stock. In celebration of making it, Scotty, I've got you your own Mighty No Rod shirt. There you go, just for you.
Thanks, mate.
Because we made
and you know
it.
what?
And I figured if we blew it up, then there would be no reason to celebrate, but we didn't blow it up. So,
thanks, mate. I love it, and I do love the blue. I've got, being in the industry that I'm in,
black shirts.
Every shirt that I own is black, so I'm excited. I love it. Thanks,
Fantastic.
mate. Awesome.
Awesome, dude.
All right, heading back to the shed. Let's go. Yeah! Rotary life. Just revs and revs. It's only a little NA engine, but definitely packs a punch. Can understand why this would have been pretty game-changing in 1982, that's for sure. Bit of highway on-ramp action. Here we go. Let's go. To the floor. 7,000. That's better. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. That is so much better. Makes all the chook cooking Rotary duck duck Dorito noises. Beautiful. Love it.